Can I make a motion that we
Whatever you want.
approve resolution number 65, series 2008, Aspen Club conceptual SPA this evening?
Without any response from, extend the rules of the meeting to 11:15. I move to extend the rules.
Second. On that move of the clock. There you go.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no.
How will you do that?
Without any comment from Michael about what he's heard here tonight?
Well,
either now or
discuss.
later?
He can comment, although I heard 3 people go like this. So if he wants to talk about it, he's got the chance. But there's going to be plenty of dialogue, and we can start now, Jack. I think Michael, I hear what you have.
Let you guys go for it. I think, in the issues that were raised are all great issues, and I think they can be addressed over time. The permanence issue, we're going to have to. The market's unfortunately going to force us to address that as well as council. The traffic plan, working with the city engineers, we'll be able to figure that out. The permanency, we'll address that through this application to final. I think they're good issues. I mean, they're good issues and they're thoughtful issues, and I think it's the same. It's the same process we went through at P&Z, where the process helps us create a better project. So, thank you.
Okay. Jessica, you're.
Can I just request that if a motion is made tonight that you add the additional conditions that staff highlighted in our presentation?
And the presentation.
Yeah.
You can include that in your motion. We don't have a second yet. Jack, go ahead.
I guess the difficulty I have voting on this tonight at conceptual is that it seems to me that if you approve something conceptually, what you've said is, like, we can send this back for final tweaking from HPC or P&Z or whatever the appropriate board is relative to the layout, the urban planning, the architectural issues, and that sort of thing. And we haven't talked about any of those things. Not one of them, with the exception of traffic. I stand corrected. So it's difficult for me to be able to vote in favor of this conceptually when what my problems are the concept. So I won't be able to, if we vote on this tonight, I won't be able to vote in favor of it because I have some conceptual issues that I had hoped that we might be able to work out at this table, because clearly planning and zoning is not going to be looking at the permanence issues. They're not going to be looking at the claims about how the Aspen Club is going to exist into time and the things that we've actually raised here. So I just simply can't.
I have a question for John. John, if council approves at conceptual level, does that constitute a finding that this constitutes a great community benefit, and we are then bound in further proceedings by having made that finding?
No, our code is pretty clear on that point. Granting conceptual, it does not vest any particular rights. And I think the record is pretty clear that, from the comments I heard from members of council, that in order for it to be a great public benefit, it has to do some additional work.
Well, Jack, I'm very interested in hearing about the architectural issues that you raised. I am not an architect, and I'm just not in position to evaluate architecture very effectively.
Yes, I know.
So I'm not going to try, but I have an obligation to hear all that, and I think we will hear that at subsequent hearings, and we should hear that. But J.E. Robles.
Well, perhaps I spoke too briefly. Obviously, there are issues. Michael only owns 35%. How do we bind the other 65% to?
Can I add one thing to that? I personally own 35%.
May I finish?
Sorry.
Michael.
I apologize.
How we bind the other 35%, and what form does that binder take? The exact form of the document. There are issues to be resolved, but we're talking about a conceptual approval, a conceptual approval. It's moving from what it is right now with the tennis courts to fractionals. It can't, the traffic count can't be anywhere near right. There's no question about those things. We're just approving it conceptually. There's an awful lot of work to be done.
Well, it's not clear to me at this point, although I'm ready to proceed, that I fully understand the alternatives for development in the event of a denial. You know, Jay, you mentioned puppy and the weapon. You talked about the gun and the puppy. I don't know what the alternatives for development are here. We will need to know that as we go along. And I don't, that's not to say I feel Michael's threatening the, alternative development, but there is a thing called highest and best use, and that could happen to us with successor owners. And we are all familiar with successor owners who come in and say, look, as Mike Morrell pointed out, I paid a lot of money for this property, and the only way I can make it work is if you let me do A, B, and C. We hear that argument a lot. So,
We're hearing it now.
well, we may hear it again.
Just want a point of clarification. You said you don't fully understand the alternatives to development. You mean alternatives to other types of development on this property should this one be denied?
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I don't understand fully. But I will, because they'll explain it to me. And Michael, we don't need to talk about ownership tonight.
Thank you.
I know a little bit about ownership. That issue will be covered later. We just don't need to go too far with that.
Okay. I apologize, J.E.
It's okay. We have your statement. It all needs to be worked out. We have a motion for conceptual.
I'll amend my motion to include Jessica's comments that the staff edits to the draft resolution are a component of the motion.
I will second that amended motion. Now we have a second. It is a resolution, not an ordinance. So, unless there's further discussion, at this time, I will call the question. Those in favor of the resolution so signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
We have 4 in favor, 1 against. It passes with conceptual approval. We'll see you all later. No. Are we done? No. No, we have executive session.
Move to extend the rules of the meeting till 11:45.
Is there a second?
But
Good luck, Michael.
will you need these? Well, I just don't want to throw them away if they don't need to be. No, I've got to throw this away. It's not like I can't do it.
Is there a second there?
Yeah, there was.
There you go.
Those in favor of extending the meeting, say aye.
Always.
Aye. Opposed? No. It passes 3-2. Okay, executive session, what? Me and Andrew. I don't know, me and Dwayne.
We're going to get Andrew Cole away from the table so we can go on with business.